Okay, so now we're reading 19 and 20 in Genesis. Let's see how long Genesis is. It's a pretty long book. Of course, the Old Testament has some dang long books. This one is, oh, we got a prayer written in there. 50. So we're going to do 19 and 20. Now 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, and he said, "Hear now, my lords, please turn in your servant's house and spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way." And they said, "No, but we will spend the night in the open square." But he insisted strongly, so they turned into him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. So the 2 angels ate. Now before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may know them carnally." Now, what does it mean that they may know them carnally? See, they saw there were 2 new men. And this is talking about characterized by the flesh of the body, its passions and appetite, carnal pleasures. So they're talking about sexually, right? This is all the men in the whole city, all of them. So Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him, and said, "Please, my brethren, do not do so wickedly." Excuse me. "See now, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the shadow of my roof." They came for protection. He insisted, and he's going to give his daughters up, right? And they said, "Stand back." Then he said, "This one came in to stay here, and he keeps acting as a judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." So they pressed hard against the man Lot and came near to breaking the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. So the angels pulled Lot in. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they became weary trying to find the door. And this is basically when you hear what people say hell is like, people who have traveled to hell, there is this carnal behavior, this sickness that has encompassed these people, and they are completely lost, and only sin drives them. And you will see that there are cities, they'll say the city of sin, that there are people who hunt daily, and there are groups of people that hunt daily, and they name their groups, and they hunt women and children and men and boys and anything they can get their hands on, because they are eaten up with this sick sin. And that's why we say don't watch porn, don't expose yourself to these types of things, because that is all sin. These people are sick, and you don't watch sick people perform for money. And you don't expose your soul to that filth. And so he says, Then the men said to Lot, have you anyone else here, son-in-law, your daughters, your sons, your daughters, and whomever you have in the city? Take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So the angels were sent to destroy that city. So Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But to his son-in-law, he seemed to be joking. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. And when he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. So it came to pass, when they had brought them outside, that he said, escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed. So one of the angels said, you have to get out of here, right? And Lot said to them, please, no, my lords. Indeed, now your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have increased your mercy, which you have shown me by saving my life. But I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me and I die. See now, this city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Please let me escape there. Is there not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said to him, see, I have favored you concerning this thing also, and that I will not overthrow the city which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife is the one, but his wife looked back behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Remember, the angel said, do not look back, but she did. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord. Then he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and he saw, and behold, the smoke of the land which went up like the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had dwelt. So, once again, for their own good, God destroyed them. They had become consumed with sin, the ignorance of sin. Then Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters were with him, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar, for he and his 2 daughters dwelt in a cave. And his 2 daughters. So the angels told him to go into the mountains, and he was like, no, I need to go to this small city. And he got over there, and he was scared. So he went to stay in a cave. Now the firstborn said to the younger, our father is old, and there is no man on earth to come in to us, as is the custom of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. And it happened on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, indeed, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and you go in and lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father. Then they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him. And he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. And the younger, she also bore a son and called his name Ben-Mai. He is the father of the people of Ammon to this day. Now that's weird, yes? And I'm sure we're going to learn about the Moabites and the people of Ammon, but that the daughters would go to preserve the lineage because obviously the sin of this city had affected their brains that they had lived in. And they lived around probably so much sin that they didn't have a good understanding of God, because God was not there, was he? Only because of Abraham did God spare Lot. And Lot was getting drunk and not remembering anything, right? And Abraham journeyed from there to the south and dwelt in Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar. Now Abraham said of Sarah his wife, "She is my sister." And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "Indeed, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife." But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, "Lord, will you slay a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'?" And she, even herself, said, "He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hand, I have done this." And God said to him in a dream, "Yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, for I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now, therefore, restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you shall surely die, you and all who are yours." So Abimelech rose early in the morning, called out to his servants, and told all these things in their hearing, and the men were very much afraid. And Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? How have I offended you, that you have brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? You have done deeds to me that ought not to be done." Then Abimelech said to Abraham, "What did you have in view, that you have done this thing?" And Abraham said, "Because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will kill me on account of my wife. But indeed, she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, 'This is your kindness that you should do for me in every place wherever we go. Say of me, he is my brother.' Then Abimelech took sheep, oxen, and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham, and he restored Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, 'See, my land is before you. Dwell where it pleases you.' Then to Sarah he said, 'Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Indeed, this vindicates you before all who are with you and before everybody.' Thus she was rebuked. So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants. Then they bore children. For the Lord had closed up the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife." Wild, huh? So he's saying that she really was his sister. She was the daughter of his father, but not the daughter of his mother. So they both had the same father. She became his wife. And so way back then, you know, since they weren't having kids that were, I mean, we're going to read, huh? But when they're having kids with their own fathers or their own sisters, even half-sisters, which people, you know, they do that. But most of the time, those kids now, they come out messed up. But anyways, so he wasn't lying, but he still did not have full trust in God, did he? He was a prophet, but he was a sinning prophet because he was not doing everything according to what God wanted. Because God does, he says, thou shalt not lie, right? But this is, of course, before Moses and where he makes all the rules. But regardless, this is, or wait, is this before Moses? I don't know. Did we read about Moses already? No. But it's important to know that when God, this is his prophet, and even if you come against his prophet accidentally, right? Accidentally, then he is going to punish you, right? So it's interesting to read for ourselves what's going on way back then. Okay, we'll keep reading. I'm sure it's very confusing for us today when we read about these old things that have happened, but there's a lesson in all of it. So we're going to keep reading.